Welcome to Producing Change in Higher Education, Tools and Practices. Representatives of the projects that you see or the universities that you see below will be joining me for this session today. I'm Camille Catlett, and as you'll see on the next slide, we are a cluster of 6 projects funded under the 325 and OSEP competition. And these projects started in 2019, and the purpose of the 6 projects is to work with early childhood programs and at the associate degree level to increase the emphasis on preparing students to work with young children with disabilities and their families. One of the things you'll also see on the next slide is that we are going to share some of the best products of these 6 projects. While we've been doing things that are similar, each of us has used different tools and developed different strategies and resources that we hope you will find useful. So today we'll be sharing those with you, and each project will speak individually.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Sandall, and I'm representing the University of Washington's Early EdU for Inclusion team. You can see the names of our team on this slide. We think of Early EdU for Inclusion as a supportive space for early childhood faculty from Washington community and technical colleges. They can reimagine and further develop their courses and course materials related to equitable and inclusive early childhood programs and services. Our project is located at the University of Washington's College of Education, and we're within a professional development center that's called Cultivate Learning. We are a partner with the Early EdU Alliance project, and that's a project that focuses on enhancing the preparation of the early childhood workforce and engaging with higher education, state systems, and Head Start. We have adapted the blueprint process to meet the needs of Washington community colleges. Faculty from our partner colleges engage in an intensive year-long process of curriculum work and course redesign. The process incorporates principles of backward design, as well as the intentional teaching framework, and that is a framework that's used by other projects in the Early EdU Alliance. Each community college partner then customizes the process based on their priorities, availability for faculty engagement, and their desired outcomes. Faculty have selected a range of courses and integrated inclusion and disability content within those courses. We also provide support through interactive webinars and regular check-ins with a project consultant. So far, we have partnered with 2 community colleges in Washington, as well as with 3 individual faculty members from other colleges. And all of our participants have received some financial support for their participation in the project. Additional support is provided through our website, and you can see that here. And this is where we share resources organized into curated collections. And this has been a very nice back and forth process with our partners. As college partners identify their needs, we help them identify resources. Sometimes we create new resources and we share them and we post them on the website. And our partners have also developed some resources that we're able to share. All early childhood faculty at Washington community colleges also have access to an extensive media library that is created and maintained by the Early EdU Alliance. And through that media library, they can use photos and videos and other artifacts that they can then embed within their courses. And then finally, in addition, all of our faculty receive our monthly newsletter as a way of keeping in touch and sharing information and resources. Notably, each of our partners has had an intentional emphasis on racial and disability justice. And here you see some examples of resources that we collected and shared with faculty that they could then use in their courses as readings, as course activities, assignments, and discussions. Our current partners will continue with us in a less intensive way in the coming year, and then we will be adding one new college to serve as an intensive partner in the upcoming year. So that's a little bit about us. Thank you for listening.
Welcome. My name is Bathian Regine, and I work at the Yukon Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Today, I'm here to share our OSEP project called the Expansion of Early Childhood Associate's Degree Programs in Connecticut Community Colleges. Our goal is to expand the number of early childhood associate's degree program graduates from the Connecticut community college systems who are prepared to demonstrate knowledge and skills as learned through syllabi, practicums, activities in an evidence-based practice for infants, young children with disabilities and their families. Our first objective of this grant was to develop a strategic plan with all of the community colleges across the state to revisit the early childhood core courses. Our next thing is that we looked at the gap analysis of courses. We wanted to make sure that we did a crosswalk of all OSEP priority areas as well as all of the standards, which included our own Connecticut State Core Knowledge and Competencies, the Division of Early Childhood Council for Exceptional Children, the Practice-Based Professional Standards, also known as EI/ECSE, and the Professional Standards and Competencies for Early Childhood Educators, the Power to Profession. So the last time that this courses were updated was 1995. So we had a lot of work to do. So what we did is that we hired 2 retired college instructors who went through each of the core 6 courses for early childhood and redid the syllabi to make sure that it was inclusive for all early childhood associate's degree students. So the crosswalk was used first, and then we revised the 5 key courses, which were the ECE 101, which is Introduction to Early Childhood, our ECE 210, which is Observations and Assessments, our ECE 215, which is Exceptional Learner, Early Childhood Course 231, Early Language and Literacy, and then all 3 student teaching practicums. We then started to pilot 4 colleges to implement the first early childhood course, ECE 101, Introduction to Early Childhood, this past fall of 2020. We also included high school students that were taking early childhood courses in their last senior year of high school to put credits toward their associate's degree and an early childhood program. So they received these college credits. So we had 8 schools across our state and high schools that took this early childhood ECE 101 course as well. So as we started to put all these courses into place, we shared all of the syllabi that we had done, which include the 101, 103, which was music and movement, 106, which was creative experiences, 176, which was child development, and then also the core courses that I shared a minute with you. We then, due to COVID, most of our programs were not in person. So we asked each of our instructors across the 12 community colleges, did anyone use our new syllabi? We had 39 responses, and an overwhelmingly 9 of the instructors used the ECE 101 over the 4 community colleges that are now using the syllabi. So a majority of the syllabi and classes were taught online. Not the perfect start we wanted for our new syllabi and master course outlines to be used. 7% were in person, so there was some courses that were in person, and then 33% of those courses were hybrid. Upon using these new syllabi, we met with all of the instructors and did coaching. So what was working? What did they need assistance with? What resources were going to help them teach these classes for students? So after we completed that coaching, we were able to provide more methods for each of our instructors. The field was all exciting about being able to include children with disabilities and diverse learners in all of our syllabi going forward. So currently we have 12 syllabi completed, and we have about 7 more to go that were mostly electives that we will be using in the next year. We thought it was important to share the impact of this new syllabi, so many instructors reached out to us to share their successes of students being able to now see this different syllabi and how it is going to prepare them to be in early childhood programs and be able to support children with disabilities. So one student said, taking this course helped me learn more about the importance of acknowledging learning opportunities. I am currently working with a girl who is autistic, and learning the different ways that I can help children with special needs was very exciting to me. Taking the time to acknowledge that there are children in everyone's classroom that may have children with special needs, either visible or invisible. And taking the time to communicate with parents is very important. While also acknowledging children who are dual language learners, it can be hard for those children when going into a classroom that they did not understand anyone else. Learning new ways to help every child in my classroom is an amazing amount of help to make sure that every child feels included. Everything about this course will help me be a better teacher. So we're excited to share that these syllabi are making an impact on the students that are being prepared to go into the workforce to work with young children with disabilities. So this is our project. We're excited to share this with you. We're also excited to share samples of our 2 syllabi for ECE 101, Intro to Early Childhood, and ECE 210, which is Observation and Assessment. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Ritu Chopra. I'm representing Project EPIC EC on behalf of the University of Colorado, Denver. This project is a partnership between the faculty at our school, the statewide Community College ECE Faculty Coalition, and 4 community colleges in Colorado. The major goals of our project are aligned with OSEP 325N funding priorities and include curricular enhancements and building capacity of community college ECE faculty. We are also working closely with other statewide initiatives in Colorado to broaden the impact of the project across the state. We have created and utilized several tools and resources for our community college partners through this project. These tools and resources are aligned with OSEP identified areas of emphasis that were outlined in the RFP and DEC recommended practices. These tools include curriculum review matrix, banks of resources for the core courses at the community colleges, and coaching process, as well as PD opportunities for the community college faculty. In the first year of our project, we worked together with the ECE program leaders at the partner community colleges to identify the gaps that existed in their core ECE courses. We created and we are continuing to create and utilize banks of resources that include readings, video clips, websites, examples of assignments through a collaborative coaching process to help faculty to embed enhancements in the core courses and field experiences. We gather data to pre and post faculty surveys to determine the extent the enhanced content is embedded in the courses, as well as the impact of coaching for the faculty. We also conduct student surveys at the end of each semester to gather student perspectives on their level of understanding of the enhanced content. Please visit the EPIC website for more details about our project and the resources that we have created.
Hi, I'm Ching Lim, and I'm representing Script NC, and we are at the FPG Child Development Institute at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And we are currently working with 3 community colleges in North Carolina to ensure that their students are well prepared to work with young children with disabilities, as well as who are culturally and linguistically diverse. So one of the things that I would like to show you today is our website. So even though it's really built for community college faculty, it can support faculty from 4-year colleges as well as professional development providers. So let me just give you a quick run through about what's on our website. So if you look at the course-specific resources, these are organized by courses, the core courses in North Carolina, but I'm sure that within your state and your Institute of Higher Education, you do have similar courses as well. So one of the key features is the search. You can search and filter for your resources. And this will be how the screen looks like. You can narrow your search based on types of resources or types of diversity or topics. And you can also create your own resource list and print or save it as a PDF. And on our website, we also have some of the tools that we are using. And as you might see in our handout, we are using the Blueprint approach that was originally designed and created by Camille Catlett and colleagues. And so you'll see a couple of the tools that we use with our programs. And at the same time, we also have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that you could subscribe to, and you can see that you can email to Camille. And one of the other resources that we have are the webinars, and our webinars emphasize embedding inclusion and diversity into coursework, as well as to help you build students' knowledge acquisition as well as application. And these resources that we feature are always readily available and free. And so we do have 2 upcoming webinars, one on the use of children's books to support identity, equity, and inclusion in August, as well as another one on ACEs. So do join us, and we hope to see you there. Over to you, Camille.
Super. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Great Start for Higher Education project, which is a project awarded to the University of Toledo. And despite the fact that we are in Ohio, we are working with community colleges in Michigan. As you'll see on the next slide, I'm going to tell you about one of the resources that we've developed. So particularly during the pandemic, a challenge that faculty were facing was how to create opportunities for their students to think about children with different characteristics that maybe identified disabilities, children who were dual language learners, children who had experienced diverse life circumstances. And as a result of not being able to actually work directly with children, one of the tools that we developed and started using extensively are something called personas. And personas are just very brief stories that can be used effectively to help students interact with a character and a story as if they were interacting with that individual in the real world. And to give you an example, which you'll see on the next page, this is Trey, and this is one of the personas. Each persona, of course, has an engaging photo. It tells you a little bit about the child's family. It tells you about who the child is as a learner, what he likes and what he doesn't like. And using personas provide many opportunities for the faculty. So we've been using a model very much like what Ching described for Script NC, but as you'll see on the next page, we've also incorporated the use of personas as a way to really help students have the kinds of interactions and experiences and conversations that they might if they were interacting with real children. So what you see here are examples of how the Trey persona might be used to explore an understanding of development and learning, might be used to understand how to apply the DEC recommended practices to interactions with Trey's family, might be used to consider how to individualize what's going on each day at home and in his program to support the goals for this particular child. Personas have been, as you'll see on the next slide, developed to really meet very, very different needs, to particularly allow students to have the experience of understanding how they might support a particular child when they can't interact with the range of exceptionalities that we would really like them to. So an example is a 4-year-old who has cochlear implants, and how might you support this particular child. On the next slide, what you'll see is a different example. This happens to be a child who is a dual language learner and also has some very different cultural traditions at home that are part of how we would engage and work with Jamil's family. And then last but not least, what you'll see is Joseph, because part of what we also want to really think about is how to support children who are racially and ethnically diverse. And Joseph would be an example of a persona that would provide practice with that. The personas have been so effective that, as you see on the next slide, one of the things that's happening right now is that the state of Michigan, with support from the Great Start for Higher Education project, is actually developing a state set of personas that will have names and locations for the families that reflect the diversity of Michigan children, and also be based on priorities for professional development that the state has identified. So that's a little bit about the Great Start for Higher Education. Next, I'd like to also tell you a little bit about the Pipelines Project, which is a project at San Diego State University. I have the privilege of working on pipelines as well. And what you see before you is the team that's part of implementing this project with community colleges in the San Diego area. I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the things that have been going on in the Pipelines project, and the next slide will show you what I'm going to mention. So Pipelines is using the same model that the Script-NC project and the GSAG project are using, but one of the things that they have particularly focused on is how to also support the diversity of the adult learners who we are encountering in the community colleges. The San Diego area, we're finding lots and lots of the students who are English language learners and who may also have not had a lot of experience in the kinds of areas like supporting children who are dual language learners. So one of the things that you'll notice on the handout for this project is examples of the professional development resources that have been developed to really think about how to support adult learners who may have different learning needs. On the next slide, you'll see some examples of what this has meant. So when we started interacting with a number of the community colleges, there were lots and lots of writing intensive assignments, which for English language learners were very difficult. What we've been able to do is use personas, which I mentioned in the presentation about the Great Start for Higher Education project, and really develop the skill with which the faculty in the community colleges engage and support the learning of their diverse adult learners. So what you see are examples of some of those assignments and how they've changed. And information about both the Great Start for Higher Education project and the Pipelines project and links to the resources are on the handouts that are posted for each of these two projects.